Hi everyone, it's Pippa at The Advantage. So today's topic is ADHD and friendship, and we're going to home in on one particular aspect that can be a pitfall for women with ADHD, and that's TMI, too much information. But in general terms, we know that peer acceptance is really crucial to a woman's well-being, probably whether she has ADHD or not, and our our self-esteem, our self-worth is shaped by the quality and the depth of the relationships we enjoy. Yet for women with ADHD, friendships can be a source of great anxiety, distress and pain as the woman is struggling to navigate the path between her, the ADHD woman, and maybe the typical people she's attempting to be friends with. We know that women with ADHD often suffer from quite high levels of anxiety. They're often in a heightened state, and also they're often suffering from low mood, from depression. So those two things will have an impact on how they are able to reach out, to maintain, to feed their friendships, I guess. Now, friendships we know are about cooperation, about being aware of other people's needs, being available emotionally. And the thing is that in order to succeed at friendship, you have to have kind of like a near perfect executive function to be able to perform. And we know that all people with ADHD have impaired executive function. So unsurprisingly, this can be a problem, and women with ADHD often feel thwarted as they try to dance the friendship tune, but then feel out of step quite quickly. So we know that friendships require verbal interplay, good listening, awareness of non-verbal cues, and of course women with ADHD struggle to be consistent with all of those things. I mean, no doubt we can pull out the bag sometimes, but to maintain that at a consistent level is hard for us. We're often juggling quite sort of complex situations with work and home and children, and quite probably if we have children, we're raising neurodiverse ones. So there's a lot going on in our family dynamics that mean that a lot of times we are exhausted and we just can't face friendship because of what it requires from us. And sometimes rather than a night out with the girls, we'd rather have a night under the duvet and just regrouping, rebooting, ready to face another day. And that's not because we don't care about our friends, but we just it's just been completely overwhelming what we've had to deal with, and we are kind of used up, empty. We can't we have got no more to give at this particular time, and so we're often torn because we need this time to sort of reboot, like I said, recover from the complexities of our lives, juggling all the things we juggle, but then also I do think that ADHD women do crave connection. We do crave company and feel enriched by it. And so the other kind of pitfall we can fall into, so the one I guess is withdrawing so far under the duvet that people think we've forgotten them, or the other thing we do, I do this, is we overcommit. So we say yes to everything, and then look at our diary and think, oh shit, what have I done? Because we know we want to be with people, we know that being with others brings us joy, but we overcommit, and then of course that brings a whole added load of problems. But anyway, that's sort of just some general ideas about how it is, why it is that women with ADHD might struggle with aspects of friendship. But the one thing I really wanted to focus on today is TMI, too much information. So typically women with ADHD do fall into this pitfall of too much information, oversharing. Oversharing is inappropriate, or it just is, but we can't stop ourselves, and once it's out there you can't get it back, can you? And then often we are afterwards feeling like a TMI hangover, and we feel really embarrassed and maybe shameful about the things that we said, and that we realise we've gone over a line, which is then hard to recover from. So I think one of the reasons that we do this is because we do crave connection with other people. And certainly speaking for myself, sometimes when I meet a person for the first time, I do sense a strong connection with them, and feel like I want to share with them. It's right to share with them, and I feel like I've known them for ages, even if it is only 30 minutes. But I need to rein myself in and remind myself it might be a little bit scary for the other person, particularly if they're a typical person. So I think that, so one reason why we do it is because we crave connectedness, and we're just a bit clumsy about how we're going to achieve that. Secondly, I think that we struggle with impulsivity, don't we, and emotional regulation. So it's hard for us to filter and think in the moment, how appropriate am I being? How normal is this this topic, this information at this point in our friendship? So we lack the filter, and also we are impulsive. So it's kind of like in my head and out of my mouth, and there it is, just sitting there. And it can be a problem. And the problem that it causes is because friendships, if you think of them like a building, they require foundation, and they require stages, don't they? You don't just, press a button and a building jumps up out of nowhere. It doesn't, does it? Everything, they dig the trenches, they put the foundations in, the floor goes in, slowly, and then the building is built. And I think it's helpful to think of friendship in that way, that we are building something, that it is a process. It's not something you just plug into. It is something that grows, and there are steps and stages on that journey. Of course, I say all this like I'm just this great expert and I navigate it all beautifully. I wish I did. I don't. I fall into these hazards and pitfalls all of the time, and do feel regret, and replay conversations in my head and think, oh dear, gone too far. But anyway, I guess I'm quite lucky, because I am surrounded by good people who are very forgiving and understanding, and so I'm a lucky person. But I think we have to think of friendship as building, having foundations and stages, and that we must make ourselves go through the stages, especially if we're dealing with typical people, the other mums in the playground, our colleagues at work, the people at the hockey club, or whatever hobbies or things that you do. So make yourself slow down and go through the stages, and try to become more aware of what you're doing and when you're doing it. So there will be things that trigger this TMI, too much information. It could be anxiety, it could be being in a certain place with a certain group of people. So maybe it happens with colleagues, maybe it happens at work social functions, but reflect, think, when do I do this? And when when you do it, think about what you can do to put in place to do it less. I don't think we could never do it, but we could reduce it for sure. So for example, if it happens when you drink too much, then be the designated driver, so you won't drink too much, so you won't do it. Start to reflect and think, where does this happen in my life? What triggers this event, too much information? And then think about what you could put into place to prevent it. If you are catching yourself kind of in the moment of doing it, or you're just about to make an excuse, need to pop to the toilet, I'll just clear the table for you, I've just got to take this call, I think Bill needs me over there. Just take a moment, take a break, and if you can get some mindful breathing in, do that. Bring yourself back, calm yourself down, think about what you're doing and saying, and then rejoin whatever social situation you were in. I think that's, I often use that, like for me it's a job. I like to find a job. If I've got a job to do, I feel like good, know what I'm doing with the job, clearing the table, or I'm passing stuff around, or I'm I'm cutting the cake, whatever it is. If I've got a job, I feel like, oh, good, Pippa's got a role. I like a role. Another thing is, I think last week I was talking about our inner voice, and that sometimes our inner voice can be a mean bitch. I probably didn't say that, but it can be, and our inner voice can speak so horribly to us, way more. We're made way more horrible to ourselves than we ever would be to another human being. And I said to you, we need to knock that on the head. We need to notice it, we need to halt it, and we need to change that voice. So on the theme of changing that voice, I would suggest that you have a little mantra, anything that works for you. It could be as simple as, I'm going to show my best self. I'm going to be the best Pippa. Or I am not going I am going to share good information. The information I'm going to share is going to be shiny information that is going to serve me well. I don't know, some sort of little mantra that works for you. For me, it would be like, be your best self. Or maybe even, you've got this, you can do this. A bit of affirmation, because heaven knows we doubt ourselves so much. And also, like, do a bit of, use your thinking brain, your cognition on this too, and really consider, who are these people to me? What level of intimacy would be appropriate here with my boss, with my boss's wife? It's probably sort of holidays, weather, I don't know, kids maybe, and about there. But if, I don't know, you've joined a book group, and you're getting to know, you've been to, I don't know, 4 or 5 meetings, you're getting to know the people individually, then maybe you can start sharing a bit more over time. Okay, so a filtering system. Who are these people to me? What role are they going to play in my life? And will this information that I'm giving build that, or will it crush it, or do I jeopardise it by oversharing? And then finally, I think that with all of the things that I talk about, you have to be ready to do some work, guys. Like, nothing changes if nothing changes, and if you do overshare, that is not going to stop unless you change it. So that does require us to probably feel a little bit uncomfortable where we are, but then when we're uncomfortable, then change, I think, is more possible, and it gets less and less uncomfortable the more we put these little strategies into place, and the more we practice, the more it becomes a habit, and then maybe TMI will be something funny that you used to do, but you don't do it anymore. Who knows? But if you need help with this, with any aspect of being an ADHD woman, I'd be delighted to work with you. But if you're happy to work on these things by yourself, then I wish you well on the journey. And I hope that you find these videos useful. Thanks for listening.